How's it going, guys? My name is Carter Walker. Love talking about movies, music, comics, and games. This is a follow-up video to my last one, which was a 10 best movies of 2022. This one is the 5 worst movies of 2022. As always, this is just my opinion. This isn't factual. This is not objective. It's very subjective. Film overall as an art form, in my belief, is subjective. Some movies that I might have loved, you thought were terrible, and vice versa. I know there's a few controversial picks on this list. Full disclaimer, I'm not too big of an A24 guy. I like more of their dramas than their horror movies. As you'll see, a lot of their horrors don't really affect me very much. I don't think they're very scary or very interesting. So a lot of movies that ended up on people's 10 best of the year aren't on my list. Just another quick disclaimer before we get into this here. I honestly, out of the movies that I watched, I didn't see every movie. I didn't think there was anything that was too terrible except maybe the bottom 3. I'll be sure to leave like a clear mark of what I think are bad movies versus what I just didn't like. Not every movie is made for me. I have a very specific and distinct taste when it comes to film. It's not reflected by everything I watch, not reflected by everything you guys might like. It's just how I feel about movies. So, getting right into number 5 is going to be the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Reboot. I didn't really care for this movie. I don't think it's terrible. When I first watched it, I was like, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I can't believe I wasted my time on this movie. This is garbage. And I think it knows exactly what it is. Looking back on it now, it definitely knows exactly what it's going for, with just the over-the-top commentary about the right and the left, and bringing old man Leatherface back, and then bringing back Sally from the original. It's just blatantly trying to be a Halloween ripoff, and then just trying to go as over the top as possible to try and get some attention with the politics, which I thought were very funny. I just like to laugh at politics. I find some of that, it can be done very well in movies, and it can also be done very poorly. I was a little bugged by the end of this movie, by all the politics in it. I thought the kills were okay, nothing too special besides the bus scene, but I just found this movie kind of laughable. I found myself laughing at it a lot more than I was cowering from it or felt intensity from it as a slasher. Full disclosure, I don't find slashers very scary. This movie really wasn't scary at all. Didn't make me laugh on purpose at all. The makeup was good. The lighting was okay. The story was terrible. The characters were terrible. I found myself cheering a lot of the times when the characters died, which they might have done on purpose. Outside of the effects and a few of the kills, I don't find myself ever rewatching this movie. Coming in at number 4 is the movie that's going to get me in trouble here, was Pearl. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people have this in their 10 best. A lot of people have it as one of their best movies they've ever seen. Mia Goth gives an incredible performance here, but I just found myself bored to tears. I find myself as someone who's liking dramas a lot more than I used to. I found myself going into this movie expecting a more straightforward horror film. What I got was vastly different from that. A lot of the horror lies in the subtext and under the surface. However, it just didn't really, wow me at all. Mia Goth gives an incredible performance. I totally agree she should be nominated for Best Actress. I can find myself totally rooting for her in that category. Outside of that, nothing in this movie was really special to me. I didn't find myself interested in the story and the characters. As hard as Mia Goth tries, I just can't care about Pearl or care about where her character's ending up. Struck me as a very weird portrayal. Someone who didn't really like X that much, thought it was okay at best. I don't see what Ty West is going for. I think it's very awesome that he's able to make these movies back to back and they're so well received. I think more people should be able to be given that option. However, I just don't find myself finding these movies for me. I wasn't very interested in it, and I found myself waiting for the time to be over. I thought it was way too long, the pacing was bad. I just wasn't interested in this movie. Guys, I have a few honorable mentions here that I'm going to get into. First up is The Whale. I really did not like this movie. This would have made it on my list, honestly, except I wasn't really sure if I could put 2 A24 dramas on my list. I thought I would probably get crucified by the 4 people that watched this video. I just didn't really like The Whale that much. I thought it was very pretentious, very preachy, very baseline of he is fat, that is bad. Feel bad for him, his daughter sucks, she's a jerk to him. Brendan Fraser, he does his best with this movie, same as Sadie Sink, she does a very good job. But I just found myself laughing throughout this movie. I mean, one of my friends in his review said that he just enjoyed my laughs throughout the entire movie. I couldn't help it, honestly. I really didn't want to laugh, but some points when he'd open up a drawer and see a granola bar and scowl, I just found that hilarious. Or the part where the girl just like posts all this crap on Facebook and like saves the day. I found that hilarious. Or at the very end when he starts freaking floating, give me a break. Aronofsky just made this movie and it's just misery porn. Normally, I can stand some misery porn. I just didn't really find it very interesting with The Whale. My second honorable mention is going to be Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This movie didn't work for me. I know exactly what they were going for with just the over-the-top characters and the satire on Gen X or Gen Z or whatever. I forgot the name for it. Doesn't really matter. I just found it really unfunny, very annoying, very grating. Me and my friends went to see this. I was really excited. I was like, oh, the reviews are great. About 10 minutes into the movie, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not going well. They're going to kill me. And we walked out of the theater and they told me that I wasn't allowed to pick another movie for about a month. So thank you, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. But, I mean, outside of Pete Davidson, this movie really wasn't funny. And the one scene where the girls are all arguing and using, like, the big words, like, upper middle class. I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. Outside of that, I really didn't find this movie interesting. I know a lot of people are putting it very high on their lists. I just didn't like it. I thought the lighting was cool with what they did with that. However, I was very let down. I think this is just another case of me going into an A24 movie expecting something completely different than what they give me. The trailers for all these A24 horror movies are very misleading in my opinion. They want you to go in expecting some crazy, scary horror movie when in reality they're all slow burn dramas. And I should learn for that by myself, but I haven't yet, so who cares. Number 3 is going to be Jurassic World Dominion. This is probably the worst blockbuster I've seen in a long, long time. It had a ton of potential coming off of Fallen Kingdom with the opportunity to have dinosaurs roaming the earth, and I know everyone has talked about it since release, but locusts, really? What? I don't get it. It makes no sense. Let's put all the dinosaurs in the same park again, locusts everywhere, this girl can outrun velociraptors now, because who cares? There's, like, black market dinosaurs, that was somewhat cool, but then they just squander the rest of it. Like, somehow Owen Grady is now a secret agent, the clone girl is taken, they're bringing back the old cast just to have them deal with locusts. I found myself extremely bored throughout the runtime, honestly. It dragged on for way too long, had zero creative ideas, brought back the old cast just to squander them. Chris Pratt, who I usually like, couldn't even hold this movie for me. Found myself very bored by it. The premise, bad. Pacing, bad. Effects, bad. I miss old Jurassic World and old Jurassic Park. Coming in at number 2 is a movie that surprisingly I was looking forward to. It's Morbius. I know. I was a Morbius believer for a little bit there, for about a week. When I saw the trailer and had the Spider-Man poster and the Vulture, I was like, wow. Sony realizes that their villain verse is the stupidest idea of all time, and they're bringing in maybe Spider-Man, maybe some references, but they're bringing in the Vulture. He might have a cool role in this movie. I love Michael Keaton. I love the Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming. This should be great. Maybe if not great, it should be watchable. Nope. Well, I probably hate it more than my number 1 pick. However, I think my number 1 pick is a worse movie, so I'll get to that. A lot of people are like, oh, it's better than you'll think. It's not as bad as you hear. It's just as bad as you hear. It's a very low-effort superhero movie with no care given to it, no care given to the story. Jared Leto phones in his performance. The effects are all over the place. Some of the worst effects I've seen in superhero movies, including Love and Thunder, which, wow, that might be hard to beat. Some of the worst acting I've seen in the superhero movies, including 2003 Hulk. Some of the worst writing I've seen in movies in a long time. The main conflict is just wrapped up in 2 minutes in the very end with Morbius summoning all these stupid bats to beat Milo. You gave me my name. Give me a break. That garbage is so stupid. Milo is ridiculous. The one scene of him dancing was just absolutely out of the blue. I found myself laughing out of absurdity. And then when it got memed, I was like, this is so stupid. Kill it. And then Sony brought it back for no reason because they thought people would watch this piece of trash. No. Morbius is a garbage movie. Sony's garbage universe. They're just squandering their potential. Nobody wants an El Muerto movie. Nobody wants a Craven movie. No one wanted a Morbius movie. I barely wanted a second Venom movie, and that turned out to be just as bad, if not worse, than the first one. Somehow Morbius is worse than all of those put together. I don't know how they did it. They somehow managed to do it. Jared Leto just managed to ruin it again. Good job, Jared. Jared is just an idiot. This movie is terrible. I'm sorry. I'm just going on a rant. I really don't like this movie. It upsets me that Sony's just squandering all this potential that they have. On one hand, they have Spider-Verse. On the other hand is the MCU just carrying them like a little baby throughout their life. so they can maybe get some funding for Craven. And then here they have just churning out Craven and El Muerto and what is it, Hypno Hustler? Where do they find these ideas? Like, they just pick up a random issue of Amazing Spider-Man from 30 years ago, find the one issue with El Muerto and the other issue with Hypno Hustler. They think they're geniuses, and then the execs pitch it, and the writers who are begging for their job on their knees are just writing these movies. It's ridiculous. This movie is terrible. Squandered everything. The post-credit scenes are insanely stupid. This movie is just dumb to a T. I would rather watch Daredevil, Elektra, and Ghost Rider than this movie. One of the worst movies I've ever seen, but not as bad as my number one pick. Coming in at number one is Men, directed by Alex Garland. This movie is the only movie I've ever walked out of in my entire life. That's all I really gotta say. I walked out of it. And, I mean, I'm being 100% honest here. Maybe I'm just dense, maybe I'm an idiot, but the commentary on toxic masculinity was just lost on me. I mean, I'm just lost on me how a guy gives birth to himself 4 different times, and that's toxic masculinity. It's giving birth to more. Why don't you say that? Instead of showing me a dude give birth to himself 4 times, I never needed to see that. I never wanted to see that. If I wanted to see someone give birth, I sure as hell wouldn't check out this movie. I have no idea why this movie was even made. Well, I have no idea why they let Alex Garland make this movie. I have no idea why someone didn't tell him, hey man, maybe no one wants to see someone give birth to himself 4 times. The trailers actually had me somewhat excited for this movie, but then, like everyone is saying, the point is made in the first 15 minutes, and then it just reiterates the same thing over and over and over again. It's not scary whatsoever. It's absolutely ridiculous. The premise is so stupid once the first 15 minutes pass. The characters are absolutely ridiculous. The same guy playing the same dude all across town with his stupid teeth and British accent bugged me so bad. I cannot stand this movie. Worst movie of the year. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I hope to the good Lord, the only movie I ever walk out of. Because, wow, I couldn't handle it. After the second birth, I left. Turns out there was like 2 or 3 more. I missed 3 of the births. Sorry, Alex Garland. You can make it up to me in the next one. Do not see Men. It is a waste of time, a waste of money. I rarely will ever say that. I don't see the love for it. I don't think it's very good. So yeah, that about wraps it up. Well, thank you so much for checking out the video. I didn't expect to get as passionate as I do about movies. Sometimes I just start talking and talking and talking. And if someone doesn't shut me up, I just go on extremely weird rants like the Men in the Morbius rant. I really don't believe that they're objectively bad movies. They just weren't for me. Morbius actually might be an objectively bad movie. Men might not be. But yeah, those are the 5 worst movies of 2022. Overall, I'd say it was a great year. We had awesome movies like The Batman, Top Gun, Scream, Jackass Forever, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Bullet Train, and like a million more movies that I could name. I was very happy with this year. It was awesome, and I hope 2023 is even better, shaping up to be just as good with movies like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Quantumania, Creed 3, Mission Impossible. So keep an eye out for my top 10 most anticipated of 2023, hopefully coming soon whenever I get the need to film it. If you're interested in any more of my content, like a comic collection video I just uploaded, feel free to like and subscribe, and feel free to check it out. Take care and have a great rest of your day.